Welcome back, recroom players! This is Marisa, and we're going to learn how to create a door in Rooms 2.0. This tutorial will go over all the creative tools and menus to help you create your very own experiences in Rec Room. I started building the sandcastle, but it needs a door. Feel free to design any door you like. This video is to help you get started creating in Rooms 2.0. Rooms 2.0 is currently being updated and will change over time. As it's still in early stages, you might encounter issues or outdated information in this video, as newer features or changes may not be reflected. To get started, you're going to need your maker pen. You can find your maker pen in your backpack. Just open up your watch, go to your backpack, and select Use on your maker pen. Your maker pen will spawn right in front of you. Go ahead and grab it. Depending on the platform you are using, you can view how to open up your maker pen menu on the right-hand side of your screen, just like so. If you are in VR, tilt your maker pen towards your face and look at the top of your pen, just like so. This will open up your creation menu. This is your tools menu, where you have all the tools and settings you need to create and adjust your creations. Let's start with the main navigation below. We are in our tools menu. Here is our palette, a library of objects you can create with. Shapes, you can create your very own props with. Swatches, you can pick and save your favorite colors for quick access later. Objects, choose from a variety of props and fun gadgets to bring your creations to life. Inventions, these are saved creations that you can spawn into other rooms. Circuits allows you to create fun interactive experiences in rooms. Now that was our palette menu. Let's go over the config menu, where you can use your configure tool to adjust object properties at the container scope or at the object scope. And you can adjust those options here. Now the hierarchy menu allows you to view all the containers in your room and quickly jump into editing those objects, just like so. Alright, and over on this side we have logging and this room. Logging allows you to debug circuits, while this room will take you quickly to the room's details page, where you can quickly save or view room settings. Let's return to the tools menu and review the tools from the top. We have these bars that provide information on what's happening in your room. FPS, frames per second, it's how many frames are getting rendered each second. Trace, triangles in line of sight, is how many triangles your avatar is currently viewing in your room. Mem, total used memory. Lowest is green, means your room is playing well and overall maker rooms are consistently green. Middle is yellow, room is playing reasonably well on all platforms. High is red. If a room is in or approaching red, your room may start crashing due to memory constraints, especially on lower end devices. When working with circuits, these bars are important: CPU, net, and chip. CPU is a central processing unit, how many calculations you're running with circuits in the current frame. Net is networking, how much data you're sending out to other players in your room. Chip, which is chip count, how many circuit chips you have currently in your room. Below are your high-level tools and settings, and on the left-hand side we have all of our creative tools, and on the right-hand side we have all of our tools contextual settings. Starting with edit. Edit allows you to scope into a container, and edit out is scoping out of a container. For example, there can be several containers nested within each container. I like to think of it as similar to files on a computer. You can have multiple files within a folder. Each container is like a folder in this case, and you can choose to have circuits, shapes, or other props in these containers. You can view these containers in the hierarchy tab at the bottom of your maker pen. Here, when you have a container with multiple containers in it, these are called compound objects. You can scope in and out by editing in and editing out. You can undo or redo objects while you are creating. Snapping provides surface or grid options. You can view grid options on the right-hand side settings menu here when grid is toggled on. World Space allows you to align your transform, move, rotate, scale, and clone handles to the world when toggled on, or to the object when toggled off. If something's not lining up right, toggle this. Show Circuits allows you to view or hide circuits in your room. Create allows you to create any object selected in your palette here. Using the Select tool allows you to select multiple shapes, objects, then move, rotate, scale, or even clone them. Double-click on a selection to deselect it. When selecting an object, an options menu will appear with additional options. Connect tool allows you to connect circuits and containers. When connecting containers, it is creating a compound object composed of multiple containers. You can view all connected containers in the hierarchy. You can also use the Connect tool to connect circuits. The Configure tool allows you to configure a container or an object properties. Select Configure the object, then edit its properties in the Config menu. Alright, below we have Transform, Move, Rotate, and Scale. Transform has Move, Rotate, and Scale tools all in one. Move allows you to move your objects by dragging them directly or selecting the object and moving it with its handles. You can also move objects on a single plane by selecting the square. Rotate, you can rotate objects by selecting a ring and dragging it. Tapping on the ring rotates it instantly by 90 degrees. Scale allows you to scale your object. When in a shape container, you can scale a shape non-uniformly, like this. At the container level, you can only scale uniformly. Edit into the container to scale the shape non-uniformly. Clone and Flip allows you to clone shapes and flip shapes like so. Recolor allows you to recolor any objects within a container or recolor all objects when recoloring the container itself. Freeze, you can lock any container at the room level or an object within a container, including nested containers. Make inventions. When saving an invention, you're storing it in your palette for later use. It can then be spawned into another room. Delete allows you to delete anything you can create with your Maker Pen. On the right side are all your contextual settings. As you select different tools, their related settings will provide you with more options. Now that we went over all of our tools, let's create a sandcastle door for our castle. We're going to create a sandcastle door very similar to the ones right in front of us. Go ahead and open up your Maker Pen menu, go to your palette and select Cube. Go back to your Tools menu and select Recolor. Let's give our cube a sandy look by giving it a yellow color and a sand material, just like so. Let's scale up that material just a bit, and then let's make sure our snapping settings are properly set. Let's make sure that we're toggled onto the grid and our world space is toggled off. All right, let's go back down to our snapping settings and let's make sure that position snap is set to 0.05 and our rotation snap is set to 15. Let's get started creating by selecting Create and closing our menu. I'm going to double jump to fly and I'm going to position my cube into place. I'm going to create a kind of a thick cube just to give it a little bit more depth as we create. All right, just like so. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, that is fine, but first, notice when I start creating, the world grays out around me. This happens because creating this shape created a container around it. I've been put into that new layer with the shape. I'm scoped into this object. I can't interact with any of the grayed out objects because they're outside this scope, but I can edit out to change scopes and interact with them by editing in and editing out. Note that not all platforms see world fade, but you can always edit in and edit out of your containers. Now let's scale this cube. Go ahead and open up your Maker Pen menu and select Scale. This allows us to change the shape of the cube. Let's go ahead and scale non-uniformly, just like so. And we're going to create a tall beam. This is going to be the doors beam, all right? Now we can only scale non-uniformly when we're in the container. We can only scale uniformly when we're outside the container, just like so. All right, so make sure that you're inside the container, just like so, all right? Now we're gonna create two different beams. We're gonna create a middle beam and another side beam. We're gonna consistently even them out by cloning it, all right? Let's go ahead and open up our Maker Pen menu and select Clone. We're gonna select the object, we're gonna select Clone, 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 and this is gonna evenly space our objects out, all right? So we are going to delete every other object. Let's go ahead and open up our Maker Pen menu and select Delete. We're going to delete this object and this object. Great, now we have 3 beams. Now let's go ahead and clone these beams and flip them horizontally. All right, so let's open up our Maker Pen menu and go to Select, 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 and then we're going to clone them into place. All right, so we're going to clone these objects into place just like so, and we're going to rotate them horizontally by just tapping on the horizontal rotation there, just like so. So this is what it looks like. All right, so let's go ahead and move these beams into place by opening up our Maker Pen menu and selecting Scale. We're going to scale these into place just like so. Great. And now we're going to deselect these objects by selecting Select in our Maker Pen menu and double tapping. There we go. We're going to tap our vertical beams here and scale them up a little bit. Now, if you're having issues with this not aligning properly, that is fine. Go ahead and open up your Maker Pen menu and toggle off snapping here, just like so. And then you can go ahead and scale them pretty finely. There you go. So the next thing that we're going to do is create a consistent space here and then the top beam here. We can do that by opening up our Maker Pen menu and selecting Clone. And we're going to clone this beam here. We're going to clone it up and again. So this is going to be the top beam and we're going to delete this. All right, so go ahead and open up your Maker Pen menu and select Delete. All right, so we've just deleted that. We're going to select all these beams here and scale them up by using the Scale tool. And there we go, great. Now we're going to create the inner part of the trim here. And we can do that by deselecting first and then cloning this beam. All right, we're going to clone it to the right and we're going to rotate it just like so. All right, now we're going to need to move this into place. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to need to change the orientation of these handles to be with the world space. All right, so open up your Maker Pen and we're going to toggle on world space. And we're just going to move that into place. Just like so. Great. All right, so now we're going to clone and flip this. So let's go ahead and clone this by flipping it. Great. And we're going to select both these objects and clone. Just like so. Great. And we're going to clone again. We're going to rotate these beams horizontally, just like so. And we're going to scale these beams into place, just like so. All right. Again, we're going to clone them. Boom. And clone them again. Great. I'm going to move that into place, just like so. And we're going to create the back part of the door here. All right. So we're going to go ahead and clone the back part of the door. Looks good. And we're going to scale this object all the way into place, just like so. So we're covering the back there. Looks pretty good. And now we're going to create the side of the door, all right? We can also just bring it in if we wanted to, just like so. That looks good. But let's create the trim, all right? So there we go. We're gonna scale it a little bit more, bringing a little bit more depth to the door. And there we go. And let's go ahead and clone that to the other side. And then we're gonna clone this up and to rotate that and position that into place. And then we're going to clone it again, just like so. And let's give this door a handle by, like, I'm gonna select a donut, for example. You can choose whatever you like. I'm gonna go to create and I'm gonna turn on uniform shapes, right? I'm also gonna turn on grid for this. Great. And I'm going to rotate this into place. And I'm going to turn off grid and scale this up a bit, just a bit, and then move it into place. Going off grid gives me a little bit more flexibility here to give me what I want. It doesn't have to be perfect, it can just be for fun. All right, scaling that up. Looks good to me. All right, there you go. There you go, you got your first sandcastle door, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next tutorial. See ya! Remember, be creative and give it your rec room best.